We have 4 minutes. Let's go. Have you ever pondered why numerous individuals are in jail or receive a sentence that appears disproportionate to the crime committed? Today, we are breaking down the federal sentencing guidelines. The federal sentencing guidelines have an interesting history. They were established to create a uniform policy for sentencing individuals and organizations convicted of felonies and serious misdemeanors in federal courts. First, here's a breakdown of their development. First, we have the Sentencing Reform Act of 1984. The guidelines were created by the United States Sentencing Commission, which was established as part of the Sentencing Reform Act of 1984. The primary goal was to reduce sentencing disparities and ensure consistent and fair sentencing practices. Second, there was implementation of the guidelines in 1987. The guidelines were formally adopted in 1987. They introduced a grid system known as the sentencing table, which considers the offense level and the defendant's criminal history to determine a recommended sentencing range. The federal sentencing guidelines are rules established by the United States Sentencing Commission to create a uniform policy for sentencing individuals and organizations convicted of felonies and serious misdemeanors in federal courts. The guidelines aim to reduce sentencing disparities and ensure consistent and fair sentencing practices. The guidelines use a grid system known as the sentencing table, which considers two main factors: the offense level, determined by the nature and severity of the crime, and the criminal history category based on the defendant's prior criminal record. The intersection of the offense level and criminal history category on the sentencing table provides a recommended sentencing range in months. Judges use this range as a starting point but can adjust the sentence based on various factors. Judges can depart from the guidelines if there are aggravating or mitigating circumstances not adequately considered by the guidelines. Variances allow judges to impose sentences outside the guideline range based on the specific circumstances of the case. But in 2005, a landmark Supreme Court case changed the mandatory nature of the guidelines. Bring in United States v. Booker. The court held that the mandatory application of the guidelines was unconstitutional, making them advisory instead. Judges must now consider the guidelines, but are not required to follow them strictly. Third, we have an ongoing amendment process. Over the years, the guidelines have been amended to address evolving sentencing practices and legal developments. The United States Sentencing Commission continues to review and refine the guidelines based on congressional action, court decisions, and input from the criminal justice community. To learn more, check out our links in the description for the United States Sentencing Commission's website for the federal sentencing guidelines. Like this? Smash that like button, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at 99rights_online for more legal quickies. Stay curious!